everybody, welcome back to Easy Weeknight Cooking with Heart's Desire Spice Blends. We are back in the house with a delectable dessert that is so easy to make and uses some rather uncommon ingredients, but trust me, it's so worth it. So, what are we doing? We are doing Masala Molasses cookies, and this last week I got one of the best compliments ever on these cookies. Brought some to a gathering and had a big brother of mine, you might say, tell me that these cookies were better than the ones his mom used to make. That's no faint praise. So let's get started. What do we need? 1.5 cups. Trust me, you want to weigh this. 180 grams of blanched almond flour. You can get this from places like King Arthur Flour. Normal grocery stores now have this stuff available. 2 teaspoons of Heart's Desire's Garam masala, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 stick of butter, and 1 large egg. Don't forget the molasses, 1/2 cup. You're going to start off with your 180 grams of blanched almond flour. And this is a very large grain flour, as you can see. It's really kind of fun. It's not really all that dry. It's a little bit on the oily side, which is really kind of fun. When you're baking, the best way to have the same results every time is to get yourself a kitchen scale. You're going to put your empty container on the kitchen scale, turn it on, tare it, which zeroes out the scale. Then you're going to pour your flours. Trust me, it takes a lot less time than trying to put it all into a measuring cup. So once you do that, we are going to be putting our 2 teaspoons of garam masala right in there with our 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We're going to whisk these together. There's a very good reason that you whisk your dry ingredients, and that is so that you don't get pockets of, say, baking powder or baking soda in your baked good, or pockets of brown sugar, pockets of spice. You get the same flavor all throughout your baked good, and your leavening doesn't make weird bubbles or anything like that. Doing stuff like this, mixing together your dry ingredients into your flour, is huge. So that looks good. Next thing we're going to do is put our flour aside and bring out ye old mixer. I love this thing. You can use a hand mixer, absolutely. A stand mixer with a paddle attachment like this is absolutely divine for this, and it makes it go so quickly. So we're going to start off with our 1 stick of room temperature butter. Because this butter is still a little on the cold side, I actually want to start the mixer a little bit. So let's break this up a bit. The steps that you take for this are going to be very important because of how things mix together well. Our molasses mix well with the oils and the butter, and so we're going to get those mixing up, and then we're going to put our egg in and mix that up really well. If you try to put the egg in with the butter and the molasses and then try to mix them up all at once, you're going to get some really weird pockets, and it's just not going to come together quite as well. So take this in order and all will be fine, trust me. Bring this up and put in our 1/2 cup of molasses. Let's go ahead and mix our butter into our molasses, and you're going to let this sit here for a little while. And things are going to get really kind of chunky to begin with. It doesn't look like it's incorporating for a while, and then all of a sudden it starts to incorporate well. So now our butter and molasses mixture has totally changed color. This is not that really deep brown of the molasses. You can see the butter has incorporated well into it, and it looks almost like chocolate. Go figure. That has changed color, become lighter, and really well incorporated is when we put in the egg. Gotta love farm fresh eggs. And at this point, we're waiting for this whole thing to become fluffy looking. Yes, it does get fluffy looking. It looks like your normal chocolate chip cookie batter by the time that it is coming together really well. We are starting to look kind of like chocolate chip cookie batter, but not quite. We've got a lot of things just hanging out in there. And so I'm going to scrape the sides and scrape the bottom, make sure that everything is coming together and that all of my liquid is in the bottom here. This is a very wet cookie dough. Unless you're used to gluten-free baking, it's going to seem really soupish. You're not doing anything wrong. This is just where we need it. Okay, let's start it again. And we're going to go to high speed and just let it hang out here for a little while. Soon we're going to have that really kind of fluffy looking look, and that is exactly what we're looking for. This is not going fluffy on me yet. It may have been the temperature of the butter, and such things will make a difference. Now, this is still looking soupy, but you know what? I think it will do just fine. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add that flour mixture in and let it beat again and just incorporate everything really well. And as you can tell, we're still kind of falling off the spoon and we're not quite fluffy yet. And I think that's because my butter was a little bit on the cold side when I tried this. So if you want this to really beat up nice and fluffy to begin with, you need literally room temperature butter. Not melted, but room temperature. Now, it is time for our flours. And I'm going to just pour that right on in. And we're not gonna get that really stiff batter that you're used to for most cookies. It's actually gonna be a really soft batter, and that's just fine. Matter of fact, it's gonna be a lot easier to scoop out, and it's gonna come up with just this really neat cookie. So I'm gonna put that back down, start stirring slowly, or else you're gonna have almond flour all over your kitchen. And now it is fluffing up just fine. And there's that. Now we can scoop it out. And if you find that things are really wet like this, don't worry, you're doing just fine. These flours will be more wet. Resist the temptation to add more and more flour. It's not gonna work well. Would you look at this? Wow, it is a very wet cookie dough. And it looks, it's not as smooth as some cookie doughs, but really the finished product is hugely yummy. Okay, we need next is a normal teaspoon. Also, we're going to need a baking pan, and I've lined this with parchment. And this is going to keep not only your baking pans nice, but it's going to be a lot easier to deal with your cookies this way. Now, when you're putting parchment on the pan, oftentimes you've got curls everywhere. So you're gonna score the sides to fit into your pan nicely. Take our spoon and just kind of rub it against the side. We don't want a whole lot on this spoon, or else our cookies are going to spread everywhere. We want these about 1 inch apart. I like to do a row of 3 to start with, row of 2, 3 more. Yeah, I think you get the idea. And as you can see, these just scoop really quick. It's a lot easier to handle this dough than normal cookie dough. And this will make as much as 2.5 cookie sheets worth this way. Now, this is going to be going into a preheated 350-degree oven. You're going to literally set a timer for 6 minutes. When that timer goes off, you turn the rack, or else half of your cookies will be overdone on one side. And then you're gonna set another timer for between 5 and 6 minutes, depending on your oven. And you will come out with something really quite gorgeous. So this is what we're looking at before we go into the oven. We are going into a 350-degree oven right now. And this is what came out of the oven. Would you look at that? Seriously yum. And these are now have been sitting for at least 2 minutes. When they come out of the oven, definitely let them sit because they will be too soft and fragile to move. Then what you're going to do, break out your wire rack, yum, and transfer them to a wire rack. Now, unless they get overdone, these things are soft, they're chewy, they're wonderful. Would you look at that? Seriously yum. And go ahead and just transfer them on over to your wire cooling rack. And do you see how easily I'm getting these things up off of here? How about we taste these beautiful smelling things? They are awesome. Mmm. Oh my. Oh my goodness. Mmm. When you bite into this, there's a little bit of crunch going on. It's got a really nice inside that's really soft. It's got this dark rim on the outside. That's when you really know they're done. But the outside has caramelized just a little bit because of all that molasses. You notice there's no cane sugar or anything like that in here, just molasses. These are sweet. They're nutty. They've got, oh my goodness, they've got a little bit of earthiness, but that just complements the molasses so well. It's like mincemeat in a cookie, but not. There's beautiful, just flavor to these where the garam masala hides in the molasses and the molasses hides in the garam masala, and nobody can tell you what's in there unless they've made this recipe or had these before. So from our kitchen to yours, this is masala molasses cookies that are a big win at any table. And you guys keep things tasty. We will see you next week.